So this is a little unorthodox, but welcome to the man cave. For those of you watching me, I'm sitting on the floor against my sofa, just wanting to have a little chat with you. This is the first time I'm really doing anything like this. I have no script. I didn't really come with a plan of what I wanted to say. I just knew that I had to do something. I've called this segment the man cave because it's a concept that I think a lot of men would understand, but for me, the man cave was a safe space. It was a place that I would go to when I felt like I was overwhelmed and I needed somewhere to hide, somewhere to get away from it all, to seek solace from the craziness that were typically people in my life. Whether it was my relationship, whether it was my family, life just felt a lot sometimes. And I think a lot of people listening can probably understand this. But I want this man cave to be our little secret. And I don't want you to tell everyone about it. I want to use this time to share with you some things that I've learned along the way that have helped me just feel better about myself, to feel stronger, to feel more confident, to feel more resilient. And there's been a lot of adversity that's happened that for me was a lot. And for some of you, maybe this might feel like a walk in the park. But I hope that there's some things that you can take away from time to time that might help, because in my day-to-day life at the moment, I'm a coach working with guys. I'm working with guys because I feel like we just go through it alone way too much. We think that we have to go through it alone. We're not encouraged to really express when we need help. We're not encouraged to share how we're feeling, typically. I think the world is changing, but the narrative of this typical reference of masculinity means we don't do that. We don't share these things, we get on with it. We get on with life. We have to have a stiff upper lip and show no fear. But we all feel fear. We all feel fear. We all have something that we are afraid of, at least from time to time. I think there's very few men that aren't afraid of something. I want us to get acquainted. I'd like you to get to know me better. I'd like to get to know you better. So feel free. Please introduce yourself and let me know what you're doing here, who you are, what you do with life, how you're feeling. And that's actually something I wouldn't mind starting with, a check-in. I run these men's groups, and every couple of weeks we meet as men, and I encourage the guys to sit in silence for a little bit and then to take a nice deep breath. And let me know, and let every man in the group know how they're feeling from a physical point of view, how they're feeling emotionally. The day that I'm recording this happens to be the 1st of January. Physically, I'm feeling a little bit beaten up from the gym. My legs are in a lot of pain. I'm feeling quite full from the food I've just eaten. Otherwise, body feels alright. I know that I can be healthier, can be in better shape physically, but otherwise I feel good. And emotionally, I guess I'm feeling quite inspired. Obviously, running this video podcast, whatever this is going to turn out to be, I'm inspired to do so. I feel excited. I also just come off a wonderful webinar about habits, how to build habits, how to break them down, and how to set goals. And I know that it seems almost trivial now to attend or run these kind of workshops at the beginning of the year, but it's inevitable. There are many people that will be thinking in a particular way on the 1st of January. Many of you watching this video now are thinking, I want to get my health in check, or I want to start a business, or I wouldn't mind starting my own podcast, or whatever it's going to be. You can't help it. Us humans, we love a new beginning. We love a 1st of January. We love a Monday. I'm going to start on Monday. So in this feeling of excitement, I came with no plan, no idea what I'm doing here. Maybe I can start at the beginning. I started all of this work with guys, with men, with wanting to help men on this journey of masculinity because I needed help on this journey. I didn't know who I was or what I was doing. I had very little confidence. I used to display traits of toxic masculinity. I was angry. I'd get stressed really quickly. I would snap. And I would always snap at the people closest to me. And often it was because they would say something that was true. And at the time, my ego couldn't take it and I would fight. I'd get so aggressive. Be so aggressive. I'd never physically hurt anyone. I don't think I did. But I would shout, I'd break things. I would dismiss the words of the people I cared about. I would shut them down, I would gaslight, I would manipulate. I would spend money that wasn't mine. I was deep in credit card debt. And all of this was in a way to just preserve what I thought it was to be masculine, what I thought it was to be a man. It wasn't until there was some drama in the family that I had to leave. I had to get away. I went to Morocco on this retreat. It was a yoga retreat with yoga and surfing in Tagazout in the south of Morocco. I had never done surfing and barely did yoga, but I wanted to go to a place where there would just be old people because I didn't want to be attracted to anyone. I'm being honest. I didn't want to go on holiday. I needed to go somewhere tranquil, somewhere peaceful, but somewhere where I would be around older people. I just knew that's what I needed, and it was really nice. It was just what I needed. At the same time, I was going through a hard time with my ex-girlfriend. or at the time she was my girlfriend. And typically because I had just not been the greatest partner, and all she wanted was love, and all I wanted to do was push her away, keep distance. But I couldn't handle the issues that were going on with my family, coupled with trying to fix my relationship. I just couldn't do it. It became too much, and this was the most extreme of man caves. I left the country. On this retreat, I met a lady called Kate, who, for those of you that have listened to podcasts that I've been on, you'll know the story. She was a Reiki healer. Now, at the time, I had no idea what Reiki was, but I thought, I've got nothing to lose. I had nothing to lose. I think, I'm not in a good place. I was not happy. I don't know if I was depressed. I don't know. I just know that I was very sad, and I was in need of whatever help was coming my way, to feel something, to know the answer. She ended up talking to me about my mum, which was strange because I didn't mention anything, but this became the topic. And one of the key things I realized was how much kind of resentment I had towards my mum for a whole manner of things. Nothing really big in the grand scheme of stuff, but to me, how it affected me, how I felt about it. I didn't know I had all of these emotions because I had typically suppressed everything that I was feeling. I kept a lot of things to myself. I think as men, we're encouraged to do that. We're encouraged to get on with it and not really talk about stuff. And as much as I was still, I would say, quite typically probably more of the emotional guys out of my friends, there's still so much I didn't say, especially within my family. That's why it came out quite negatively, I think. I didn't really express really how I was feeling. I didn't know how to articulate myself or what to say. But what I learned was, as a result of all of this suppression and keeping things to myself and pushing things down, I had so much rage, I had so much anger that I had to deal with it. Somehow I had to speak it out. I had to let go. And it was a very easy and quite emotional conversation. I cried when these things were being said. A lot of it was still about love. Yeah, I felt like I didn't get enough love from my mum. There was a moment where she gave me this bowl, and she said, "This bowl represents all of the love that you gave your mum that you didn't need to." It felt like a bit of a weird thing to say. And she said, "You can take this bowl back and you can give it to yourself." And I said, "How can I take back love from my mum?" And I know this sounds like a weird concept, guys, but just bear with me. Sometimes these parables and stories can help. But I took back this bowl full of love that I needed and gave it back to myself. I swear, I kid you not, I took this bowl back that had nothing in it except what I imagined to be love, and I felt like I could relax my shoulders. How many of you watching this right now have your shoulders here? Or how many of you feel tense in your shoulders? I feel like as men we carry so much tension in our shoulders, and I link it to this burden of performance, the burden of being someone, the burden of pressure of society, or what it means to be a man, what it means to be a son, what it means to be a brother, what it means to be a father. I don't know if you can relate, but I felt this lightness just lift. I started crying. And then I hugged this woman as if she was my mum, and it felt really nice. But I came away from this with two key lessons. One, I really got to speak more, and I need to encourage other men to do the same. Second, we're not always going to get the love that we want, but we can just be more loving. We can just give more. And I walked away with those two things. Get men to speak up, be more loving. So you'll probably understand why I went home, I broke up with my girlfriend, and I stopped speaking to my mum for 6 months. So I know I said speak up more and be more loving, but I had to cut these ties. The woman I was with was lovely. Really. She was lovely. And it took me a long time to realize that the problem with me and my relationships was me. It was never them. It wasn't the women in my relationships. I've had a few. And the sooner we can look at ourselves as the thing that needs to be worked on, fixed, or not even fixed, but just to look at our shit bits and think, how can I be less shit? How can I be a better person? I just knew that I needed some healthy guys around me, some men that I could just reach out to and talk to and connect with. So that's exactly what I did. I joined a men's group and we just talked it out. Every week we would talk on this call. And every time I would go for this call, I wouldn't want to go to it because we would have to talk so deeply about who we were. And it was confronting, it was challenging, but my God, was it amazing. It was amazing. It was good to get things off my chest and say things out loud without anyone judging me. Anyone saying, you should be like this and why don't you think like this and it's your duty and you have to, blah, blah, blah. None of it. Just to be myself. Whatever my truth was my truth. I loved it so much that I made my own group and I decided I want to coach men. I want to work with guys. I want to help men be better versions of themselves and I want to create safe spaces for them to do so. And I started working on me too. Along the same time, I was reading books like King, Warrior, Magician, Lover. If you haven't read it, go read it. Way of the Superior Man. Everything I could think of around masculinity, toxic masculinity, healthy masculinity, building habits, goals. I've always been quite a mindful person, I would say, to a degree. Or at least the last 10 years. And I've always been interested in improvement, but not necessarily from the male improvement space. Maybe from the healthy improvement to getting into the gym, eating right, that kind of stuff. And just trying to be more conscious and more aware of the thoughts and things that we do, but not really with this much depth. I started looking at relationship coaches and listening to people like Brene Brown and Esther Perel, again with the understanding or the need and the want to understand why we think the way that we think, why we do what we do, why do men cheat. I used to cheat on all my girlfriends, okay, all of them, and it wasn't necessarily that it was something sexual. It might just be the attention, but like why do we do this? It was heavily linked to, by the way, this whole thing with my relationship with my mom and not having received enough kind of love. So that even if I did receive love from my partners, no amount of love was enough. It's like I didn't feel loved enough. And none of these things are excuses. It's good to bring awareness to these things. We can't keep living in darkness. We can't keep living in ignorance. What I learned was that if you really look and if you really listen, everyone's already telling you what you need to hear. It's hard for us to hear it. And I'm saying us as I find it's hard for us guys to hear it, because when we hear something bad about us, we take it to our core. If we hear any part of criticism, it's so personal. It rocks us and we hate it, and we will defend ourselves, or we either go to a place of hardcore defense, anger, justification, manipulation, gaslight to protect our ego and protect who we are as a man, then admit any wrongdoings or try to change things. That needs to change. We need to work on that. And that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing with the guys I work with. I don't want these guys to keep coming to me when they hit rock bottom. Like, come on, we don't need to get that bad before we start making positive changes. But it's the people around us that get affected. It's our mums, our dads, our sisters, our siblings, our brothers, and our partners. They're the ones that get hurt by our unwillingness to look in the mirror and ask ourselves, what am I doing daily that is not serving me or my relationships? What am I hiding? What parts of me am I suppressing? What truth am I not telling? Well, who am I lying to? Why am I lying? So many of my clients lie every single day. Some of them are small lies, they kind of keep the peace lies. Some of them are big daddy lies, big ones, digging themselves into bigger and bigger holes. Some of these lies aren't really lies, they're just not speaking up. They're not speaking the truth. They're not saying no when they want to say no. They're not saying, hey, you know what, I'd rather do this. It's the not speaking up to their boss. It's not setting boundaries. It's being controlled by their partner. It's feeling like they're not even a man anymore. It's wondering why are they even here? Are they even noticed? Does anyone even care? We care. I care. People do care. So this is the Man Cave. My name is Adil. Don't tell anyone about this man cave. It can be our little secret. It's an opportunity for us to get a little bit more acquainted. I'd love to hear who you are. Maybe tell me something about yourself, what brings you here and what you're going through. But if you do share this with anyone, share it with love, an open heart with some compassion and empathy. If you take away one thing from this, just ask someone, a man in your life, how they are, how they're really doing, and just try to notice if they seem troubled. If there's someone that doesn't typically speak up, try and find a way to give them the opportunity to do so. Or maybe just tell them that, you really value them, you love what they're doing, and you appreciate them in your life. Because there's some small things that men love to hear that we don't hear too often. One of them is, I value you, I respect you, I trust you, I love you. I love having you around, you make my life easier, I love all the support that you give me. There's a number of things, but they're just a few. But now, thank you for listening. Watch this space for more. I have no idea where this is going, by the way. This is just something I've wanted to do for a while. I had a gentle push from my partner a few times to start this, and I'm grateful that she did push me, because it feels right. It feels right to be speaking to you right now in front of this camera. And like I said, I have no idea where this is going to go, but thank you for listening.